Fair City. I come with candy. Willie got some candy. Derek's got some candy. David's got some candy. Derek just had the worst candy take I've ever heard in my life.
I have to say I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised.
No, that is not. No. It is a sensible take I had. Very sensible.
It was terrible.
No, it wasn't. I'm going to explain to people, okay? And I'm going to explain it because Adam can't say what he said off air, so, so I'm good. So
I can. I just have to clean it up.
But he gave everybody a piece of candy, which is
Willie,
great.
I gave Willie some Starburst.
I got some Whoppers, which I like Whoppers.
David got a Snickers.
David got a Snickers.
I love
There
Snickers.
we go.
And I left myself a Milky Way.
A Milky Way. And I said,
Ew. That's
who
what you said.
eats Milky Ways? Milky Ways to me are the little brother of Snickers. They want to be Snickers so bad, but they would never be Snickers.
I agree with that part, but it doesn't make it nasty.
It's nasty.
All it is, it's a Snickers without peanuts.
That's
No,
a
it's not.
crazy take.
It's not.
That's a crazy nasty.
Yes, it's just
not
awful.
nasty.
So what you're saying
So,
is,
like the
You don't
peanuts
like
make
caramel.
everything.
Yes, the peanut, the way taste of Snickers and taste of Milky Way. Even without the peanuts, a Snicker is still much better than
a
the
Milky Way. A Milky Way is simply a castrated Snickers. No nuts.
Sorry, Chase.
We were having a very philosophical candy conversation, and then it just took a big hairpin turn.
Oh, that's the first time I've ever heard that. Hey, people, it's Halloween, so give us a pass today. No, but that is a sensible argument.
This texter also agrees with you. And I say to this texter, I disagree with you.
Exactly.
They say
Everybody
Milky
knows.
Ways equal not good.
Exactly. Everybody knows.
So where
man.
do you stand on Three Musketeers?
Oh, I despise Three Musketeers. I despise Why do they even sell? Because Three Musketeers is like the long distant relative of a Milky Way. So you know how far removed that is of a Snickers, right?
Yeah, it's another level down.
It's
But
more than another
That doesn't
level.
mean that they're like when you say it's nasty, that means you're not going to eat it.
I'm not going to eat it. I will take the chocolate off and leave the rest of the stuff.
Oh man, that is harsh.
That's just how I am, man.
I thought I knew you, Derek Mason.
Well, now you do. Even more.
I don't know if I like this side of you.
I
This
mean,
Milky Way hating side of you.
Everybody. There's even those individuals that are allergic to nuts. They love Snickers and they want one so bad. When people pull out a Snickers, they want it, but then they remember, I can't eat it. It got peanuts in it. Everybody loves Snickers. Not many people like Milky Way. Nobody loves Three Musketeers. I don't even know why they're even selling it. Is it a front for something? I am a conspiracy theorist. Nobody eats Milky Way.
These candy bars have been around for a long time. They've survived.
When does
people are buying?
Okay, I'm gonna ask y'all this: when does Milky Way and or Three Musketeers? When are they the most heightened? When are they the most recognizable? Halloween. Why? Because they want to get rid of it. It's no good, and they know it. They never run out of Snickers.
Nobody comes into a candy store.
No.
Or a convenience store and selects that when you have.
You know how many Milky Ways I see on the shelf, and I turn them over and they're expired. You know why? Because they've been sitting there for some years.
Because people will always take the Snickers.
People always take the Snickers.
Okay,
they donate the Milky Ways.
You mean someone would hand out like the large size of Milky Way, and the other kids just be like, no.
Yeah, I guarantee you. If you put Milky Ways in a big tub on one side of your porch and Snickers on the other tub,
well, no one's arguing
Snickers
that
are going to be gone.
I think
there would be a
Snickers
bucket
is
full.
better.
higher rank. Yes, I agree. It's a higher rank candy bar unless you have a peanut allergy.
Or
which
look,
people do.
Look.
Some people
Or
don't.
some kids would take the Milky Way and like that story Adam told yesterday, the mom would look in the bag, take it out and throw it and walk away. Nobody eats Milky Ways. Just saying.
Matthew from Jolton, noted Michigan fan on our text line, says Milky Way is nasty. So I guess Milky Way is like Michigan State, just the little brother.
Oh, man. See? We had to take it there, didn't we?
Indeed.
Oh, man. I'm not going to even talk about those other people on the other side
Indeed.
of the street. They are a trick or treat.
So
I have a question
Yes.
for all of us. And it's something I thought about last night as I was in this chair watching the Predators lose to the Flyers. When will being a Nashville sports fan stop sucking so much? More specifically, a fan of the two major professional teams in the city, because it sucks right now. The Titans are the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked. And the Predators can't score to save their lives. And it's just, we're down bad in this city right now. I've said this many times this week. Thank God for Vanderbilt football. Thank God for a team that is playing well and playing a game this weekend with actual stakes, which we will discuss throughout the program. But when was the last time it was this bad? The Tennessee Titans. Here's something that I found interesting. The Titans, if they lose by double digits on Sunday to the Chargers, and let's face it, I would assume they're going to lose by double digits to the Chargers. It would be the first time since the franchise relocated to Tennessee that the Titans have lost 4 consecutive games by double digits. For the first time since the franchise relocated to Tennessee. The Titans have lost 39 of their past 49 games. Think about that for a moment. 10 wins over nearly 3 calendar years. Just awful. And the Predators, bless their hearts, they tried last night against the Philadelphia Flyers. They were throwing everything at the Flyers. Willie can attest to that. He was there. But they just can't score. 9 times in 12 games, the Predators have been held to 2 or fewer goals. So it's not fun. It's not fun being a Nashville professional sports fan right now. And I don't know how we're going to get out of it. I just don't know where that light is at the end of the tunnel.
I would suggest a more well-rounded portfolio.
Add Vandy.
You can't have just 2 teams. You know, you need to have other teams. Like some people, I'm sure, will text you immediately and say, "What about Nashville SC?"
We talked about that off air.
And of course, there are the Commodores right now riding a wave.
Not a
Tennessee's doing
sports
well.
team.
If you're a Vols person, you got that. So I think, Adam, my suggestion would be just broaden your horizons. You know, go with the flow.
It's
Take the ups and
easier
downs.
said
Jump
than
on
done.
Jump on the Blue Jays bandwagon tonight.
But they're not a Nashville team. The
No, I know.
afflictions of Nashville sports, professional sports, that is. But it's ironic because if you just look back at both of these franchises, and I've said this before, and it's getting weirder by the year. Both of these franchises are up at the same time, and both of them are down at the same time. It seems like both of them changed coaches at the same time. Now, the Predators don't have this central problem I think many people believe the Titans have, and that is management, the one problem. But if you're just talking about the team, coaches, and the seasons, it seems like they've ran parallel to one another. When the Titans are bad, the Predators are bad. Or when the Predators are good, the Titans are good. For whatever reason, it seems like it aligns up more like that than not. So this team I know, and I'm talking about the Titans, unless they hit it big in this next draft and those first-year guys take a huge step forward that second year, they may be in this sort of lull that they're in for a few years. And when I mean a few, I should have said more like 3 or 4. But they need the quarterback to pop, and that helps. They need to add more around him. And that's why I said, if this next year's draft doesn't come in and contribute right away, and this year's draft doesn't develop more, then they're going to be stuck in that in this sort of cycle for a few more years. But if they do, then in the world of football, you could turn it around in a matter of a year. But everything has to hit the right way because we've seen teams do it. I'm not sure if it's that way in hockey because, for years, Chicago was at the top, and then all of a sudden they've been at the bottom for years after that. Detroit went through the same thing. So it takes a little bit longer in hockey than it does, say, in football.
That is true. And I hear what Willie is saying. Broaden your horizons. Look, college basketball season.
It's just
right
around
the corner.
It's just around the corner.
Vandy seems to they got a pretty good team coming back. I know the girls do.
But we know that our listeners are passionate about their teams in this city. First and foremost, the Titans and the Predators. And when I even remembered, oh, the Titans play this weekend, I'm like, oh my God, the Titans play this weekend. I'm gonna have to watch that game, aren't I? Like that's where I am with the Titans right now versus Vanderbilt, for example. I'll be hooked on that game, no pun intended, that playing the Longhorns. I will be hooked on that game tomorrow morning. But it's just bad. It's the Titans don't seem to have any real path to getting back to relevancy. The Predators, I said this, Willie, on Wednesday before you joined the show. The saddest part about where the Predators are right now is that the Predators aren't trying to be bad. They are trying to be competitive, but they're just bad right now. That's even worse. It would be one thing if the Predators were trying to be worse and taking a step back and rebuilding, but we've talked to Barry Trotz about this for a long time. That's not what his aim is. His aim is to field a competitive roster that can be a threat in the Western Conference. And that's not happening.
But it's early. I mean, this is a novel.
Did we not say the same thing last year, though, with the Predators? It's early.
Oh, my God. They were way, way worse last year at this point. Way worse. What makes it hard right now is that they're having to play a style that is a grinding style, and right now they're not scoring. So, but I thought last night they played very well. They deserve better last night. The problem is when you're in a scoring slump and you've lost a couple, it weighs more. But I'm not ready to throw in the towel on the Predators yet. I realized as we sit here today, I completely get the vibes of it's not looking good, but there are plenty of games coming up. I think when they leave for Sweden, where they're at will be very important. And there's a lot of games between now and then in a very short period of time.
I feel like the Predators aren't that much ahead, at least record-wise, versus where they were a year ago. They're 4-6-2. That's what, 10 points in 12 games? Through 12 games last season, they were 4-7-1, which is 9 points. So they are 1 point ahead of where they were last year. I know that the process is a bit different.
Yeah. See, this is part of the problem, guys. This is part of the problem with that.
They are up, though.
They're 1 point up.
Yeah, one. Hey, but
they didn't start 0-5. That's a good thing. But it's rough out there right now for Nashville sports fans. It really is. I wish we had more positive things to discuss with our professional teams. It's just not there right now. And as I said, we have Vanderbilt, at least for now. A huge game tomorrow against Texas. We will break down that game. Chad Withrow will join us in the 4:00 hour. He'll help us break down that game. We'll look ahead to some other college football games as well. Another big game in the SEC between Oklahoma and Tennessee. But it's just, as Matthew from Jolton says, I am already looking at the draft for the Preds, and it's not even November. One texter says, think optimistic. Not many teams can say they haven't lost a playoff game since 2022. That's one way of looking at it, I suppose. But how are these teams going to get out of it? Derek's right. It's easier to turn things around in the NFL, but the NFL trade deadline is on Tuesday. And if Chigakonkwo is traded, and I think that's a pretty fair bet, wouldn't you say? If Chigakonkwo was traded, that means that the Titans will have 0 players from their 2020, 2021, and 2022 draft classes. That just won't cut it. That has a lot to do with where these teams are right now. And the Titans released their injury report. They're not going to have Jeffrey Simmons. They're not going to have Calvin Ridley. They're not going to have Arden Key against the Chargers. Last I checked, the Chargers are favored by 9.5. It wouldn't shock me if the Chargers come in here and bludgeon the Titans at Nissan Stadium. I don't know if I'm going to predict another 20-point loss as I did last week. But give us some hope. Give us some hope, Predators and Titans. We're desperate for hope.
Well, you're going to keep hoping, at least for one of the teams. Again, the Nashville Predators, it's a long season, but does it look any different this year at the beginning than it did last year? Yeah, they are up a point, but how much of it looks different? I would say UC is playing better than he did, but it hasn't equaled 2 wins. And then the Titans, I think everybody understand and realize where they're at. Their season is pretty much done. Now it's trying to find, some silver linings in a huge, category 5 storm. And 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna find that. So I'm with Willie in the sense of it's early in the season. I know much doesn't look different, but say it. I'm not advocating for this, but just say if Barry comes in and say, listen, we got to make a change, and he makes a change, and based on what you are saying, there should be a bump. Now, how the bump would look, how many games, or how the team would look is a different story, but he can come in and say that, and that may change things during the season.
One texter says, if the Predators lose to the Flames tomorrow, by the way, the Flames, the worst team in the NHL, the coach will start hearing it big time. They may have to cut him midseason. And I love Trotz, but his guys aren't producing so far. Joey from Bellevue says, what did we do to deserve such poor performances from our Titans and Predators? It's October, and both are a long shot of making the playoffs. Well, you don't need to talk about the Titans making the playoffs. That's over. That's way over. Long shot is being generous to the Titans right now. But one texter says, here you go. You want hope for professional teams? It's Nashville SC. Had a huge playoff match at home tomorrow night against Inter Miami to keep their championship hopes alive.
Hey, I accept it.
I'll take what I can get.
Exactly.
I'll take what I can get right now. It's rough out there.
If we had a professional bowling league and they won a championship, we need to talk about it. Do we have a professional bowling
We do not.
team?
Vanderbilt has an outstanding
Oh,
Yes,
without
Vanderbilt has an
Yeah.
outstanding team.
Outstanding.
Yes. But yeah.
It's a world of Milky Ways out there if you're Derek Mason.
Yeah, that's what
It's
it
a
is.
world of Milky Ways out there.
No Snickers.
Next time you see Derek Mason, just hand him a Milky Way. Just keep one in your car, keep it one in your pocket. And if you
Or
happen
three
to,
Musketeers.
or Three Musketeers. And if you happen to see Derek, just hand him a Milky Way.
Slap him out of your hands with the quicks. What?
615-737-1025. I didn't mean to bring everybody down on Halloween, but I'll try to uplift you over the course of the rest of the program. 615-737-1025. Speaking of the local professional football team, Cam Ward said earlier this week he feels he's improved in every game. Do we agree? We'll discuss. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Derek Mason here. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid to see your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it repaired or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
Cam, I know results haven't been what you wanted, but as you look back to your first game to now, do you get the sense that you've improved like you would have wanted so far?
Yeah, I think I improved every game. From an operation standpoint, from play call standpoint, to getting in and out of huddle, to knowing where guys is, to being an NFL quarterback. I think every game's got better. Then for each other position, every game we've had together, we've got better chemistry at. Because practice is a lot different than the game. So, I'll continue to work with those guys, continue to work with me. We're going to continue to be better.
That was Cam Ward earlier this week saying he's improved in every game this season. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We are brought to you by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com. If you look at the statistical splits, the first 3 games, there was the play calling change from Brian Callahan to Bo Hardegree. Of course, Brian Callahan then fired. Mike McCoy comes in. So if you look at the first 3 games versus the next 5, Cam Ward's completion percentage is up. His yards per attempt are up. His passer rating is basically the same. That's only one way of looking at it, though. Derek, as you have been watching Cam Ward, do you agree with his assessment that he feels like he's improved in every game?
I think he has gotten a little bit better, but I think he also has stayed sort of stagnant in some areas too. The place that I think he stays stagnant is his ability to not get out of the pocket. He's the same since he's gotten here. And that's not going to work for this offense. He has to find a way to get outside the pocket and run, get yardage when there's yardage to be gained, because it's hard for them to gain yardage through the air. And the conventional way running the football, it works 50-50 with that at best. So when you have an opportunity to run the football as a quarterback, you have to do it. And he's basically stayed flatline in that area. And he needs to improve. I think if he improves with that, the team improves, the offense improves, and then he improves as a quarterback because now he gets to sort of get outside the confines of what they've constructed for him as far as that play. And he's able to find, because he has the ability to keep the play going for a couple more seconds. Well, now you got to add running to the equation as well, because teams don't think you're going to run now. So they're just plastering on their man. And when you show the ability, even the slightest ability to run, that means now they gotta be conscious of you while trying to guard their guy. They know you're not running a football now. They know it. So they stay plastered to their guys, and it makes it harder for you to find guys down the field. So I think that party stays stagnant or gotten worse. The other stuff, I think him surveying the field, it's gotten better. He needs to improve on his down the field throws because he has missed a few big shots. Now, maybe it's him getting more familiar with the receiver and them communicating, then it'll get better. But if that had already been going and you're still, missing things down the field, in particular those corner routes, then that has to improve, because those routes are going to be open more times than not because people try to protect the middle of the field. But he is right. He is getting better at some things, but I think some things either he's gotten worse at or he needs to start getting better.
I think that's a great assessment. I do think in general, and it's not linear. It's not like, hey, look at the numbers each week. They're a little bit better each week. That's not how it's gone. But I feel like every time he gets through a game, survives it, has the experience under his belt, and learns from it, he improves. That's how you improve. You get the reps. You learn from mistakes. So I think he's improving. But Derek has definitely hit on something that he has to add to his portfolio. He's got to be able to escape. He's got to be able to run when he needs to run. And he's got to be able to take less sacks. It's obvious. I think there are some things he does very well and will continue to get better at. as they hopefully put better pieces around him. So he's improving, but there are a lot of levels that he's going to need to get to, because remember what the standard is. He is the first pick in the draft. He's not a guy that was a nice second-round pick who they put in there as a rookie. He's not a low first-round pick that they decided to take a flyer on. Nope. He is the guy. So he is being held to the highest standard based on what they passed up to take him. So he's got a long way to go, but he is improving.
The one thing that I've liked over the past couple of weeks, and it has a little to do with Cam Ward, is the emergence of Chimdike. He has really stood out to me. He's been one of the few bright spots on this team, racking up a ton of all-purpose yards. Really, really good returner. I would defer to Derek Mason on his judgment of Chimdike on special teams. But from what I see, really good returner. And we talked about this at the beginning of the season. Willie, you had the Titans question, one of your 10 Titans questions. Which group of pass catchers would end up with more combined yards? And I was, in hindsight, stupid to pick the veterans as opposed to the youngsters. But with the way this season is going, really all you can hope for the remainder of the season for the Titans is that you see growth in Cam Ward, but you also see growth in the other younger players who you hope are part of the solution, such as DK, such as Aya Manor, such as Helm. You can throw Tajay Spears in there if you would like.
I wouldn't throw him in there, but I think the other three, I think it's clear when you say D-Mace that this is something to work with. If you're trying to cling to, of course, Adam started the show off with the most negative thing he's ever done. Hey, it's Halloween, everybody. It's Friday. Here's the most negative thing I throw out there. Both teams, there's no hope. Oh. But that is something that I think you could try to get a little traction with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that there does appear to be a chemistry and I think a work ethic between the three young receivers and the young quarterback. Those are all rookies. Like I feel like there's room for development there.
Yeah, there is. Gunnar Helm, I think they will try to get him into the mix, especially if they decide to, move on and trade. Why am I
Chig?
Trade Chig. So his numbers may start to pick up, and it seems like they want to target him. He's more to me of a red zone threat because of his height, and that's what he did at Texas as well. So he's going to, I believe, his numbers are going to go up, which for me is a good thing because now you're building a rapport with young guys that hopefully will develop as you're developing and will be here for the long term. Alec, he just needs to get more consistent. It seems to be a lack of concentration at times with him because he's a big body. He's shown that he can make some of these tough catches, but he also shown that there could be a lack of concentration and he drop balls or he's paying attention to the hit rather than the ball. So I think he's coming on, but the guy that you need to watch, I believe, is DK. Because of his ability to run, his ability to return, he understands, positioning. He understands leverage. He understands when he sees that hole, he got to hit it. He's a running back that knows how to play receiver, or a receiver that has running back skills, however you want to put it. But also, you can flex him out. You can put him at slot. You can put him outside because he has speed. He's a deep crosser. He did that a lot when he was with Florida. Reverses. They have to use him early on the way that Kansas City. He reminds me of Percy Harvin, but they need to use him like Kansas City used Tyreek Hill at the beginning of his career because Tyreek wasn't polished as a receiver, but he was a return guy. And what did they do? They sprinkled him in here and there, reverses. You're in the flow of the game, getting you because you are a big play waiting to happen. DK is a big play waiting to happen. And if nobody on that team sees that and is not recognizing that and needs to gear that offense more around his skill and what he can do, there's something wrong with them.
Damien on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com, says, I think Cam needs to trust his eyes more. Looks like by the time he realizes the guy is open, it's too late when he throws it to them.
I mean, that has been he's been slow, and I said at the beginning of the season, I think he's gotten better at it. But just because you've gotten better doesn't mean you don't need to improve even more. He's not, because the texture is right, but he's not the same quarterback now in regards to that than he was the first couple of games of the season, because first he was really slow. And he's made some incremental gains, but he still has a lot to learn when it comes to that in this league. And he may not even figure it all out this year. It may be next year that he figures the rest of it out. But you're right. He does need to get better at that area. But I think he has gotten better, but it doesn't mean he doesn't need to continue to work on that.
I think that is really the theme for all of this is it's not going to happen overnight. I just don't think there's going to be a game where you say, well, he's got it now. He's got everything. It's going to be these little things, these incremental, a little bit better touch, a little bit better accuracy. The question for me is, what is the ceiling? And I don't see a super high ceiling. I think this will always be something that follows him. Is if your ceiling is a best case of a number one overall pick, like a Peyton Manning or the best number one picks, I think we may be disappointed, unfortunately. But I think that if you have reasonable expectations and you take away all of the weight of being the first overall pick, I think he can be a good starting quarterback in the league that hopefully has that ingredient, right? That competitiveness, that work ethic that will continue to have him be solid and get a little bit better the more he plays. That's what I'm hoping for. Do you guys see differently? Like I don't see a freakish, unbelievable superstar in the making here, but I think he can be good.
You don't see, and listen, I don't think, at least I didn't expect it. You don't see, because what you're talking about is what we see from Jackson, Mahomes, or let's go Josh Allen when he was. You saw some things, and he ends up being who he is now. Whether it's Jaden Daniels or one of these other young quarterbacks that have shown, and it's like, okay, we have a whole body of a season to look at them, and they perform well. Drake May, same thing. He performed well. Now he's performing even better his second year. So we have samples, huge samples of what it could look like. It's not looking that way with Cam, and some of it may not be his fault. I think those quarterbacks, with the exception of Drake May, I think they walked into a better situation than Cam Ward did. Now Drake May, it may not have been as bad as Cam's, but it was bad last year for him. But you saw something in him as the season went on that you were like, okay, this guy, like, he can throw the football, he can extend, he can run. He do all those things that you need to have a quarterback do when your offense isn't as efficient. And when he can't throw, he can still get some yardage running. Cam hadn't showed all that. He hadn't shown all that. He's shown that ability, that the arm talent, yes, but he hadn't shown that whole package. And he may not show it this year, maybe next year. So you're right. We haven't seen that. And we may not see it this year. So
615-737-1025. Cam Ward thinks he's improved in every game. Do you agree? 615-737-1025. We'll get to your calls and texts. Coming up next, Chase and Big Joe will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday. Prior to the Monday Night Football game, head on up there and join them for the Monday night matchup between the Cardinals and the Cowboys. D. Mays, Finn, Gidendonic, 1025 the game. We have to get in the Halloween spirit. A little Fresh Prince, right?
Oh, yes.
Nightmare on My Street.
And I don't even want to tell you what happens to DJ Jazzy Jeff at the end of the song. Not good. Not good. Jeff. Don't fall asleep.
And Jeff fell
He
asleep.
fell asleep.
That's bad news.
Mm-mm.
That's bad news. Talking Cam Ward, he says he's improved in every game. We assess that. 615-737-1025. Let's go to Tim on our phone line. Tim, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Yes, I don't see any improvement. And Willie, you said something a minute ago that we need to separate Cam being the number one pick. You can't do that. He was the number one pick. He's supposed to be the best player.
Well, then
in
it's
the
over.
draft, and he was
You're always
not.
going to be disappointed if that's the case, I think.
But I'm thinking that's not the best number one.
Hey, Tim,
That's
thank you for the
Hey,
call,
give
Tim.
him a second. Give him a second.
Okay.
Tim,
Call back once your phone.
Yeah.
I want to
Because
hear you
you're
out.
breaking
Tim.
up.
I want to hear you out. I did not mean to jump on you, but
Yes.
I think to be fair to Cam, this has to be what happens. And look, I'm the guy that the next day said that was bad. That was not the right thing to do, knowing what you could get for that pick. But I realize it's very, very difficult. And we always use Corey Davis as an example of when you're held to the standard of the number one pick is supposed to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
You can't live up to that. That's never going to happen. He's not likely to be that. You have to hope. Let's be realistic, reasonable with what we see, and hope that he can be the best version and that they don't ruin him before that. That's what I'm worried about, that they're going to ruin the guy just like so many other guys before him, right? It's much more likely that he's going to get crashed and burned and thrown to the gutter than it is he'll be a Hall of Famer. So I think we have to be realistic with the expectations.
Do we have Tim back? No, different caller. Okay, we'll get back to Tim if he calls back. I hear what you're saying. Willie, about separating the player from his draft slot.
Right, because it's not his fault.
Understood, but rightly or wrongly, there is a certain expectation that comes with that draft slot, and not all number one picks are created equal. In all sports, you can go back and look at number one picks throughout history in the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, and you'll look back and say, that guy was the number one overall pick. It happens more often than you think. We've talked about that a lot as it relates to quarterbacks specifically. But with that distinction comes an expectation that a lot of players struggle to live up to. Let's go to Adam from Portland on our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hunter.com. Adam, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
I tend to agree with Willie. Like, I think you if you treat Cam a certain way, you got to treat Will Levis the exact same way, in my opinion. Like, because I blame it on the coach. And I thought Will Levis was the dumbest quarterback that's ever played quarterback. But I realized after seeing Cam, who I think is a very impressive and mature person when it comes to his football knowledge and skills and being so mature about the football position or quarterback position, and him struggling the same way Levis did, I'm convinced we had the dumbest coach ever. So I think Cam and Will Levis should actually have an opportunity to compete with each other when he's healthy. Because we all saw that Falcon game, man. That wasn't just like a fluke thing where he knows how to do that pump fake and he can just airmail him like that. He didn't just forget how to do that. Like, I think he had a lot of bad stuff coached on him too. So I don't know, dude. I'm looking at Cam and I'm like, however we treat him, we got to treat Levis the same way.
Thank you for the call, Adam.
I think we got to, and you're right. When you're drafted number one overall, one is honor and a privilege. But whoever's drafting you, they are saying, or at least they should be saying, you are the best person in the draft to us. And we are drafting you because you're going to change our franchise. No matter what position, tackle, guard, if you make that mistake and draft at number one, center, it doesn't matter, whatever, cornerback, they are drafting you number one overall because they believe that you are going to change our franchise. Let's just look back at since 2010. because you're right. When you're drafted number one, there's an expectation. But do you always achieve that expectation that was put upon you? You may have gotten accolades, but it's not about accolades when they draft you number one. It's about championships. Sam Bradford didn't win one. Cam Newton went to one when they won one. Andrew Luck never went to one. Eric Fisher eventually ended up going to one, but they drafted Patrick Mahomes. Jadeveon Clowney, no. Jameis Winston, no. Jared Goff did go to one, yes. Myles Garrett, no. Baker Mayfield, no. Kyler Murray, no. Joe Burrow, yes. Trevor, no. Trevon Walker, no. Bryce Young, no. Caleb Williams, no. And Cam Ward, as it sits, no. So I understand, and I can go back further to the number one picks. I can go back to 2000. So I understand what people want, and this is what the teams want. But more times than not, it's not going to happen that way. So if you draft him number one, and I said this when they drafted him, I didn't care about him being the best player in the draft. He was the best player at the position that they needed the most. And they felt that he was going to change their franchise. And they drafted him. Now, it may just end up him being a really good quarterback and they make it to the playoffs all the time and they have a few bites at the apple as far as the AFC Championship. It may be that. Or it may be he's just average and then one season he leads you to a playoffs and a Super Bowl. So it can go either way. We've seen it in the NFL. That's just how it is when you're talking about the number one pick. I'm not talking about everybody else under that. I'm just saying the number one pick. So I understand what people are saying. I understand what Willie said because that is what is expected. But because it's expected of you, even if we label you the G word, generational, I'm going to use it right now, generational. That doesn't mean you're going to win the championship. Andrew Luck, generational. He didn't even make it to a Super Bowl. Now, he retired early. I get it. But he didn't even make it to the Super Bowl.
But this is the problem with that. Not a single person evaluating Cam Ward had the G word associated with him. In fact, nearly everybody did not have him as the first pick if you were listing all of the prospects. So not only was he not a surefire overall number one pick because he was quarterback, he was somewhere between 6th and 10th on the board.
Well, there was two teams that was going to draft him because the Giants would have drafted him.
Well, okay, that may be, but once again, we have to try to be fair to Cam Ward. But that caller, who I guess has disappeared,
I would have loved to hear what
he's gone into he's gone into the no cell phone zone where he was driving. But he is that guy. He's that guy. Hey, he's the first overall pick. He's supposed to be a Hall of Famer,
and he's not wrong in what he's thinking because that's what we are led to believe. Like, no matter what, if you are the number, even though history tells us more times than not, they're not going to be that.
Yeah, he's always going to disappoint that caller unless he becomes Joe Montana, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to be. But I'm looking at it as can he, because Adam's question is he improving? I think he's improving, but he's got a long way to go, and he's in a gasoline fire. I will say it again. He is trying to do this
with cotton draws
in a terrible environment to try to grow. And this is the problem. So there is a bigger chance that he will crash and burn than there will that he will succeed. So I'm hoping he
succeeding
can get
meaning what? Like
what is succeeding being a good quarterback on a winning team that can win playoff games, and maybe on a team that has the right personnel you could win a Super Bowl with.
One texter says, we should also consider what Cam may think of as improvement. I'm sure he's improving mentally, mechanically, and getting used to play style possibly. What do you think?
I mean, those are the things that, that allows him to feel more comfortable as a quarterback. Those things that the texter mentioned. And sometimes those things aren't something that necessarily, you can pick up right away. Now, some of that stuff does manifest itself, as the season goes with how he's reading the coverage, how he's progressing through his read, stuff like that. So it does manifest, but those are the things that, like the caller, like the texter 4 or 5 texts before that, or the caller was. He said, well, he's not improving as a passer. He's still slow. Yeah, he's still slow, but he was much slower than that. So it's those incremental things that we're not seeing that that will hopefully manifest itself into it showing as the season continues to go on.
We've got Tim back. Tim, thank you for calling back. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys. Thanks. Hey, and what I was going to say is, I don't think him not making the progress is on Cam. It's coaching. He hadn't had any help. And I think the kid works hard. I think he's a hard worker. I think when you drafted the number 1 pick overall, there's a certain amount of I guess you're going to have to be that pick. The Titans are saying that he's going to be the quarterback of our future. Well, I don't know. I mean, we don't have a coach of our future right now either, so that hurts him. But if we're all the time talking about wanting to get trade and get draft picks or something, why not, when there's not a clear number 1 draft choice in this draft, why not trade back, get some extra picks, and then take somebody else? Because if you look at the rookie quarterbacks right now, who's the best rookie quarterback out there?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart. We could have traded back and got Jackson Dart.
Understood, Tim. Thank you for the call.
But when you say how
that ship has sailed at this point, and what I
but
think,
he's not playing great either. So
But Jackson Dart has had at least some of those moments. It's aided by the fact that he is the quarterback of the New York Giants.
They have a better team than the
Titans. But it also helps to be the quarterback of the New York Giants.
Well,
it does. That's true. You get more airtime when you are the starting quarterback of the New York Giants. And he has had some really good moments. Cam Ward, that comeback against Arizona.
Nobody saw it.
Precisely.
No, and I get it. And you're absolutely right. One guy is on a stage that is going to showcase both his ability to play the game, but then also his ability to not play the game at this level right now because him being a rookie. But you're going to see more of the highlights than you will see of the lowlights of him, unless it just gets so low they can't help it. But, you had a guy that he's playing just a little bit over okay. But his team is much better than the team Cam's on. So, ultimately all this will play out between those two. People are going to, because the Giants offered so many picks, they're going to say, well, you could have had Jackson Dart. Well, maybe not.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your thoughts on Cam Ward and the Titans, who are preparing to take on the LA Chargers on Sunday at Nissan Stadium, the Titans' final game before their bye week. Chargers are favored by 9.5 on the road at Nissan Stadium. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we turn our attention to yet another biggest game of the season for the Vanderbilt Commodores and a fascinating quarterback matchup, assuming one of the quarterbacks is going to play. But we will get to that next. 615-737-1025. Speaking of the Titans game on Sunday, if you are looking for a great spot to pregame, you should stop by John Bon Jovi's and pregame with us at 1025 The Game. JBJ's has the best food on Broadway, cold beer and cocktails, and stunning skyline views, including 2 epic rooftops. Pregame show is brought to you by Apartment Tractor and Equipment and Circus Sportsbook Kentucky. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Vanderbilt travels to Austin to take on Texas tomorrow, an 11 a.m. kickoff. But if you have YouTube TV, you're SOL.
Damn.
You can, of course, listen to that game right here on 94. Well, not right here, but on our sister station, 94.9 The Fan. Pregame at 9:30, kickoff at 11. Vanderbilt football is brought to you by Gary Force Acura, Jimmy Kelly Steakhouse, and Smoky Mountain Tops. But yes, now that ESPN is no longer carried by YouTube TV, if you don't have
a way to watch it,
an ESPN streaming service,
I got to do the ESPN.
I hate to say it.
You know what, Willie?
I hate to say it.
You know, I think you had it.
You know the answer.
I think this is your doing. You've been talking.
It's not my fault.
No. That's why you wanted to keep. That's why you wanted to keep it. That's why you didn't want to cut the cord.
Willie has famously not cut the cord,
and for no other reason.
I have
no other reason but to say.
Tomorrow.
I have no reason, but I just got to keep it. You knew this was coming down the pipeline, didn't you? You know it. I blame it on you.
I know if I'm plugged in, I got the cord. I don't have to worry about this stuff.
Willie's tapped in, so I guess anybody that has anything other than YouTube TV, you're tapped in.
Well, I have ESPN Unlimited, which is what they want you to buy.
Yeah.
This is all about getting you to buy their streaming service, which I already have. So I'm fine. I have YouTube TV, but I'm covered because I have ESPN Unlimited. So I can watch the game tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Well, I'm going to have to do something.
You can come over.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll bring the Milky Ways.
I make sure I bring a whole bunch of Snickers.
Here's what I'll do. After the show, I'll probably go home and go trick-or-treating with my son. And I'll say, Arlo, save all of the Milky Ways. just put them aside. When Mr. Derek comes over tomorrow, you can bring them to him. He has to eat them all.
Oh, no. Ooh.
It's kind of like that old sitcom trope where the dad or mom catches the teenager smoking cigarettes. You're going to smoke this whole carton in front of me. I'm just going to say, Derek, you're going to eat all those Milky Ways, and you can't watch any football until you eat those Milky Ways.
Having Milky Ways in your house on the table is like, and I love my grandmother and my great aunt back when they were living, even now, rest their souls. But I used to go over their house, and they would always have out the nasty candy. And they expected the kids to eat the nasty candy. I didn't eat the nasty candy. Never. Nope. So you know what? Milky Ways is the same thing. I would not be eating that whatsoever. I still got Milky Ways in my pantry that I need to throw out. They are like a year old.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to
because there was last Halloween.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carefully unwrap a Snickers and replace it with a Milky Way, then close the wrapper back up and see if you notice.
No, this is weird. This Snickers doesn't have nuts in it.
That's right. One texter is claiming that YouTube fixed it and reached an agreement.
Did they?
I have not seen
that.
Let
me.
I haven't be a ray of hope.
Let me see.
A glimmer of light.
I hope this is true
you
because
better not be playing with me.
All the people that have been tweeting me, I can't get the Predators games on YouTube TV. It's your fault.
It is your fault.
Those people are going to now come to me about the Vanderbilt game.
Yeah, it's your fault. I told you we blame this all on you, Willie.
Anyone within the sound of my voice, Willie has not cut the cord. You can watch the Vanderbilt game at Willie's house.
Pay-per-view. Just come in with a little Jackson. $20 bill.
$20, man. Gosh.
You think it's hard to buy those apps, man? Just wait till you try to come to my house.
Nevertheless,
well, no, we can't get it.
I haven't seen any news of this, Texter.
Disney
so
channels
are you lying to
unavailable.
Us? Are you lying to us, Texter? If you're lying to us, you're banned from the program. I am not afraid to hand out some bannings. I've already done some shadow bannings on the program. Just saying. Texas favored by 3.5 at home against Vanderbilt. This is Texas's first home game in more than a month. The Longhorns passed 4 games, 3 on the road, 1 at a neutral site. But they are favored by 3.5, despite the fact that we don't know the status of Arch Manning. He is listed as questionable. He practiced on Thursday. Coach Steve Sarkisian said he was, quote, making good progress, but his status to return from a concussion for tomorrow's game remains uncertain.
But wouldn't you say that in our experience, and from afar, I would speculate that he will play if he's practicing on Thursday, barring a setback where symptoms pop back up. I think he's on track to play. Would we agree based on what we know about protocols?
Yes.
Without knowing specifics of any one player.
Yeah, if he's
and the line has moved. I think that is also maybe an indicator that he's going to play.
It's been hovering around 1.5, 2.5. Now it's up to 3.5. At least it is on ESPN Bet. But I am hoping that Arch Manning plays tomorrow for a couple of reasons. One, I love the matchup between Arch Manning and Diego Pavia because the two of them come from completely different worlds. Willie, I think you'll appreciate this reference I'm about to make. Arch Manning to me is Stan Gable from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, wow. Stan the man
Stan Gable was a quarterback. Yes. He was a quarterback.
Adams College.
Wow.
Home of the Adams. The Adams.
He is the sweater tied around the neck, 80s preppy villain. That's Arch Manning. The Manning legacy flows through his veins. He was born to be a quarterback. And Diego Pavia, he's the leader of the outcasts because I don't see Diego Pavia as much of a nerd. So I don't think I could make the same reference. But he's the former JUCO quarterback who had to scratch and claw to where he is today. So I just love that dynamic of this potential matchup. The heir apparent to the Manning throne and Diego Pavia. So we'll get more into the actual matchup, but just the differences between the quarterbacks is something that's really fascinating.
It's good. It's a good story in the backdrop of how each guy arrived. I agree. And I also think that it's worth for perspective. Even though Vanderbilt is the hot team and the higher ranked team, which would have been probably pretty hard to envision, even as late as August 25th, like before anybody played a game. Like, I think I would go as far as to say when people were looking at Texas preseason #1, Vanderbilt preseason unranked, at that time, people were saying, hey, let's look at Vanderbilt's schedule. Can they get back to a bowl game? Let's go down their schedule. Win, loss. Texas would have been a loss. It wouldn't have been, hey, there's a swing game on the schedule. It would have been, well, loss. Am I wrong?
No.
I mean, I think if you've had 100 people do that, maybe the most diehard people would have said, well, maybe they have a chance. But I think it would have been without much thought at all, L. And now we're talking about, hey, the line has gone from 1.5 up to 3.5. So it is completely changed in the backdrop there. So I still think we can't forget how talented and how much Texas brings to the table, especially down there. So this is an extremely tough game for Vanderbilt. But that being said, we've said this all year long. Their formula, if they play it, keep the ball, move the chains, good execution, that has allowed them to be in games if they're opportunistic and they cash in on the chances they get. Unlike at Alabama, where they did a lot of good things, but when it was time to cash in twice, they didn't do it, and that cost them the game.
So since since Texas lost to Florida at Florida on October 4th.
There it is right there, Adam. Look behind you. ESPN's doing it right. Preseason, it was 87% Texas
to make the college
to make the playoffs. I thought you could probably easily go
Vanderbilt
higher.
at 2%.
Yeah, I'm surprised Vanderbilt was 2% before the season started.
Since Texas lost to Florida in early October, the Longhorns defeated Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl. The past 2 weeks on the road at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, the Longhorns needed overtime to beat both teams, who are a combined 0 for 9 in the SEC. So Texas needed would it be fair to say, a miraculous comeback last week to beat Mississippi State? They were down big in that game.
They were. They were down
And-
14 in the fourth quarter.
And the backup quarterback, who could start tomorrow, assuming Arch Manning isn't cleared, but I expect him to be cleared. The backup quarterback had to lead the game-winning drive in overtime. So one texter, Eli from Smyrna, this is a good question. Can y'all help me understand why Vandy is the underdog? Last season, Vanderbilt was an appreciably, good word, worse team than they are. You get 2 dings. An appreciably worse team than they are this year and only lost by 3.
Last year has nothing to do with this game.
No, I
Nothing
think
to
this.
do.
I think this team is better than last year's team. If it's just, guys are just more familiar with what they're doing. They've had a season underneath, in this system with the offensive coordinator Beck, and Coach Lee leading them, and Diego. They know him a lot better this year than they did last year. So, and Diego understands how he's going to win in this conference. So I think they are a much better team, but Texas has shown they haven't made much progress this season. Now, has Arch Manning played well at times? Yes, he has. But when they needed him to play well, when they're playing some good teams, quite frankly, he didn't play well. Outside of the OU game, and I mean Oklahoma. And Oklahoma didn't have their quarterback. But he didn't play well in the Kentucky game, and he played okay in the Mississippi State game. So, I mean, he played better than okay. But this Vanderbilt team, I understand why they are the favorite to win this game. Because to me, they're just a better team. They may not have the better quarterback from a notoriety standpoint or the talent standpoint, but they got the quarterback that's going to win and knows how to win and knows what it takes to win. And outside of the Alabama game, he has shown up at every big moment that they needed him. And I just think, frankly, will it win them the game this weekend? I don't know, but I think Vanderbilt is the better team this season.
Here's the other reason why I hope Arch Manning plays tomorrow. Because let's say he doesn't and Vanderbilt wins. You're going to hear a lot of the same stuff you've been hearing recently about Vanderbilt's resume. Well, I'm going to borrow Willie's old, I can't believe you lost to Vanderbilt voice here for a minute. Well, Vanderbilt beat South Carolina, who was without Lenora Sellers for most of the game. And they beat LSU, who really wasn't that good. They fired Brian Kelly 2 weeks later. And they beat Missouri by a touchdown with a third-string quarterback in for the Tigers. And they beat Texas on the road, but Arch Manning didn't play.
Oh, that would be a big narrative.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I am hoping that Arch Manning does play. So if Vanderbilt wins, that can't be part of the argument.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think you take what comes. There's no control they have over any of that stuff.
Correct.
And I think all you can do is show up, play. I think the big thing I'm looking at in this game is Texas, I think, is a better team at home, like most teams are. Mm-hmm. And they're desperate. They know they cannot lose this game and make the playoffs. They are supposed to make the playoffs. That's especially with all of they made the playoffs last year, all of the expectations that automatically go when you're wearing a Texas uniform, and all of the players that they have on paper, they're supposed to make the playoffs. They know one more loss, that's it. So I don't know if that means the pressure is more on them or a desperate team is going to bring their best to the table tomorrow. I have a feeling it's going to be that. And I do think that Vanderbilt is going to have to fight the fact that if they were to lose this game, there's still a pathway to get to 10-2 and probably have a pretty good case to get in if they could win the last 3 games. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
I don't know if it's automatic. It depends on what happens around the country. But I think if you go 10-2 in the SEC,
I think you're in.
You're more years than not. You're going to be in. So it's intriguing here because you didn't used to have this. It used to be teams that are trying to play for a playoff, no one was more desperate than the other. But I kind of think that it's a little more like pro football now.
No, it is. Texas has been a good team. They were the number one ranked team in the country coming into the season. Now, the quarterback play hasn't been what it has been. But I think because that is the case, people are always looking at Texas as, oh, they should win no matter what. But again, you look at what Vandy has done. And it's not just this year. I think people are just looking at it in an isolated situation because I don't think people discount what happened last year. Even though it wasn't a great record, people still discount, in a sense, the Alabama win. And what they're doing this season is like all of a sudden it seems like, oh, this is something new. But this has been a buildup for Vandy, and this season is much better than last season. But this has been a buildup. You saw it in this team. They figured out how to win games now. So regardless of how you look at it, I would love for Arch Manning to play because I think even if he does play, I don't think he's shown enough that I think he's going to be like Vandy single-handed. He's going to beat him.
Quickly, before we get to Chad Withrow, some Tennessee-adjacent breaking news from Heather Dinich. The NCAA has informed Jacksonville State it could hire former Tennessee coach Jeremy Pruitt as an analyst.
As an analyst.
Pruitt, who was sentenced to a 6-year show cause order after an NCAA infractions ruling in 2023, will coach for the first time since he was fired at Tennessee in January 2021. He will work in a role that doesn't include interacting with recruits and will have limited interaction with the players. He has already served a year-long suspension from coaching in games, and part of the original penalty included preventing him from recruiting off campus in his first year back if he returned to college coaching. So, Jeremy Pruitt is back in the game.
Isn't that odd? Chad will have a good take
Yes.
on this, but there's some analogy we should make. It's like the bank robber who was in jail for robbing banks. All of a sudden, it's legal to go to the banks and take whatever you want now from the banks. Bank robbing is no longer illegal, but he still can't rob banks because he got thrown in jail for robbing banks.
And by the way, we will take it to the bank later
Yes,
in the
we
show.
will.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick will join us next. We will get into this matchup between Vanderbilt and Texas. We'll also talk about Oklahoma versus Tennessee in another huge SEC matchup that's coming up next. 615-737-1025. This Sunday, the NFL Game of the Week, Jaguars and Raiders at 3:05 on 94.9 The Fan. The NFL Game of the Week is presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and Massaro and 12 South. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. A little time warp.
A little Rocky Horror for anybody? Anyone?
Tomorrow's college football game of the week is number 5 Georgia versus Florida at 2:30 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan, following the Vanderbilt game, presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants and Circus Sportsbook Kentucky. Coverage is also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outkick. He joins us every Friday afternoon. Chad, I thought you would be pleased to know that Jeremy Pruitt is back in the game, hired by Jacksonville State as an analyst.
Well, I'm a listener of you guys, and I heard Willie talking about it. And I think the right analogy for this is someone that was busted during Prohibition for selling bootleg liquor, bathtub gin, suddenly becomes like the biggest liquor distributorship in the country because it's legalized and you're out of Prohibition. So, everything Jeremy Pruitt was doing with, cash in McDonald's bags or whatever the food was. I don't think it was McDonald's. I've heard from someone that it was a little bit more high end than McDonald's, but whatever he was doing that was obviously frowned upon during that time is now completely legal. So yeah, he can go and be an analyst and not talk to players at Jacksonville State, but make no mistake about it. I mean, look at Bobby Petrino at Arkansas. These schools are shameless. If someone can help them win, he is going to be a defensive coordinator for an SEC team again at some point. He was too good of that when he was a defensive coordinator at both Georgia and for Nick Saban. So he's going to get another opportunity. If you can help somebody win, it doesn't matter what you've done. You're going to get hired. And I fully expect him to be a defensive coordinator in the next 3 to 5 years.
Let's talk about tomorrow's matchup between Vanderbilt and Texas. It's really, Chad, put up or shut up time for Texas. It's been a month since the Longhorns have played at home. They needed overtime to defeat Kentucky and Mississippi State in each of the past 2 weeks. Neither team has won a game in the SEC. So the desperation will be high in Austin for the Longhorns. Based on what you know about the Commodores, how do you think they will handle that desperate atmosphere tomorrow in Austin?
This is one of those weird games where everything you've seen from both teams makes you believe that Vanderbilt is the better team. They've been the better team on the field. They've got better wins. They've got better moxie about them in late game situations. But yet here's Texas as a, 2.5, 3-point favorite in this game. And it's largely because it's at home. I do think that Texas has an advantage defensively. I think their defense is really good. And I think that what we saw from Missouri and what they were able to do to Vanderbilt defensively, that Texas is going to have some good fortune defensively in this game. But guys, I haven't seen it with Arch Manning yet. I mean, I think Vanderbilt's defense is definitely the underrated part of this team. So I know that Molly McGrath is reporting that he's going to go through concussion protocol in the morning. As long as he's cleared, he's going to play. But I don't know how Texas scores a bunch of points, whether he plays or the backup. So, look, I think Texas wins a close game and a low-scoring game in this one. But, man, oh, man, you're right about the pressure. I mean, suddenly 3 losses for Texas, you're out of the playoff race. You're staring the possibility of 7-5 right in the face. And then all this talk about Steve Sarkisian in the NFL starts to make a little bit more sense if they go 7-5 with this Texas roster. And then on the flip side for Vandy, I mean, you're a win over Auburn and Kentucky away from punching your ticket, regardless of what happens in Knoxville, if you can win this game. I think 10-2 in the SEC is going to get you in. So they win this game on the road. I think their home wins over Kentucky and Auburn away from being in the college football playoff, regardless of what happens in Knoxville on Thanksgiving weekend.
Now, Chad, you brought up Sark, and I did want to ask you a question about it. And it's pertaining, say if he does leave, because right now, listen, Arch hadn't, manifest into everything that everybody thought he would be, at least by now. Has he been horrible? No, but it hasn't been what everybody has thought it was going to be. And maybe Sark is on a hot seat if they don't make it to the playoffs. I don't know. Or if they don't win, if they lose another game. But if he does leave, Arch has 2 more years. Is that an indictment on possibly what he feel Arch may or may not do, or is it just his opportunity to go to the NFL as a head coach? Because when you have a talent like that as a head coach, that can only bolster your resume if you win a national championship. And if you believe he can, then you stay, don't you?
Yeah, yes. To the last question, look, I think two things are true here. I think Arch has been a massive disappointment this year. He may get a lot better. I think he will get better, and he could be better next year. But massive disappointment based on expectations and the star rating and everything else. And I think the other thing that's true is if you are a college coach right now in this unregulated era, and you have a chance, let's say you're making $8 million or $10 million, whatever it is. If you have a chance to make close to that same amount of money to be an NFL coach, you jump at that opportunity. I mean, head coach in the NFL is far easier right now than what a college coach is dealing with trying to, hold their roster down and no real contracts. Players can leave whenever they want. I mean, you're essentially dealing with a pro roster already. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with money demands. You're dealing with guys unhappy because someone else is making more money and threatening to leave. It's a lot harder right now as a college coach. So again, if the money is close and you get that pro opportunity, the lifestyle, the quality of life, everything about, I think it's way better than the NFL. And I do think that NFL teams should start to look to college coaches more often. The old adage, D-Mace, of, a college coach can't do it simply because it's their way or the highway, and you can't be a dictator in the NFL. And these are grown men with families and mortgages and everything else. I mean, that's college coaching now. Like you got to play the game in college if you're going to be a successful coach also. So I think that these college coaches are more ready than ever. The NFL game resembles the college game maybe more than ever. I think you should start looking at guys like this. And by the way, I completely buy the Diana Rossini report. Mm-hmm. I think his agent has looked around and talked to the Titans or other teams, because a lot of agents are going to be doing that right now to try to see what their best opportunity might be. And again, if they lose this weekend, and let's say they lose a couple, I mean, that's 7-5 Texas, huge disappointment for a team that was expected to be, playing for a national championship this year.
Now, what are your thoughts with UT? Because it seemed like UT, even after the Georgia game and the loss, there still was this buzz about UT, and they're still a great team. But then after the Alabama loss and how they looked, it seemed like, at least from a national standpoint, some of the shine has worn off. They still have an opportunity to run the table and make it to the college football playoffs at least. But what are your thoughts on UT as they head into the Oklahoma game?
I mean, they got to outscore everybody. It's that simple. Like their defense is bad. I know the reason for it. I know they lost a lot from last year, but I mean, you want to talk about a group that's making Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson and James Pierce and Omar Norman Lott, and those guys from last year's defense look like world beaters. I mean, no one expected this level of drop off from a really good defense from a year ago with some of the guys they had coming back. So it's been a struggle for Tim Banks this year. But on the flip side of that, I look at them defensively. Oklahoma's got the best defense in the SEC, one of the best in the country. They've only forced 4 turnovers this year. Tennessee's defense, D-Mace, has scored 5 touchdowns this year and forced 10 turnovers. So, I mean, it's total feast or famine. It is. They are getting a pick six or a scoop and score, or they're hitting the quarterback hard, or they're giving up a 90-yard drive and not really putting up much of a fight on third down. So, look, I think we're not talking enough about Joey Aguilar and his story. It's one of the best in college football. He was shunned at UCLA the same way Tennessee was shunned by Nico. And he's come up here, and he's the best passer in the SEC. He's putting up some of the best passing numbers in the country. He was incredible a week ago in Lexington, and he did not practice last week because of that injury he sustained in the Alabama game. He's been practicing this week. It's a great showcase opportunity for him. If he can put up big numbers and Tennessee can score a lot in this game, I would start to think about Joey Aguilar in the Heisman conversation as well.
Chad Withrow is with us. Chad, I've got one for a part of a topic we had earlier this week, and that is if you're Lane Kiffin, and it was funny because we were going through the history of Lane Kiffin, the weird time with the Raiders, and then getting fired on the tarmac before he was allowed to get on the plane for USC. Like, this guy has been through a lot of stuff. The history of Lane Kiffin, that could be like a 5-season Netflix series. I don't know who would play Lane Kiffin, but if you're him right? And all you probably have to do is say the word, and he could have his choice of probably 2 or 3 premier jobs that traditionally would be a notch up from where he is right now at Ole Miss. But with all of the madness going on, could you argue that with him knowing the surroundings at Ole Miss, if he could get assurances that the resources could be comparable, that he would be better off staying at Ole Miss?
Absolutely. And Willie, yeah, first off, Leo should play Lane Kiffin. He can play everyone else. He'd be a great casting call. Similar age with both those guys now. I think Leo's about to turn 50 or just turned 50 or right around there. So I think that'd be a good one for Lane Kiffin. Yes, I think you can make that argument at a lot of jobs. Especially when you look at LSU. LSU is the best job available, right? History, recruiting base, fan support, all of that. I would give them the nod over Florida, who I think is the second best job right now that's available. But when you see what the governor is saying, and
they were talking about the AD, like the AD may not even be allowed to, like they're arguing whether he is allowed to be a part of the search.
The AD was fired too.
I mean, it's insane
at LSU.
Congrats to Louisiana for electing Bobby Boucher as their governor. I honestly,
do you really want to go there? Like we know that you have the players there, but like, do you really want to go to that?
No, not unless you're like John Summerall will take it. Under whatever what the conditions are, no matter what, he would take a job like that. But I mean, I heard his accent. I'm like, is this real? I thought it was an AI deepfake when I first saw the press conference because of the exaggerated accent. I mean, he's also not wrong that it is a conflict of interest that Jimmy Sexton represents the AD and all the coaches, and he's getting a lot of people filthy rich with these buyouts. And I would like to see at LSU do some sort of responsible, incentive-based contract for somebody that's less on buyout. Maybe you give them a big signing bonus when they take the job also. It's going to attract some good candidates. If I'm Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, and I'm offered the LSU job, I probably take it. But like you said, if you're Lane Kiffin and you're going to be in the playoff this year, which they should be, and you've done what you've done there, and you know that you've got financial backing from the Grove Collective and from that school, I wouldn't leave Ole Miss. I really do think that Lane Kiffin fears another Knoxville exit. Like, I do think that whole thing shook him because he took his dream job and he got fired 3 years later because he didn't win enough. And he loved it in Knoxville. I mean, he talks glowingly about that job and how good it is and it's underrated and that, knowing what he knows now, he shouldn't have left. I think that's in the back of his mind, guys. I now believe after watching that Jeff Landry press conference that Lane Kiffin's not going to take that LSU job. I think odds are that he stays put at Ole Miss. And the way college football is structured right now, why not? If they're going to pay you top dollar and they're going to continue to invest in the transfer portal with money for players, you can win and win big at Ole Miss just like you can at LSU.
Okay, so we've got Leo as the star. He's going to play Lane Kiffin in the Netflix series. So in the episode where Lane Kiffin leaves Tennessee, I can see Chad Withrow as an extra playing a Tennessee student and taking the mattresses and lighting them a fire in the dorms.
Yep.
Would you'd be all over that, wouldn't you, Chad? You could get a couple of your buddies and reenact
I would
that?
love to do it. I'd love to do it, but with the age I'm getting, I'm going to have to audition to play the part of Bud Ford, the SID, and that's telling everybody to shut up in the press conference. He was getting loose in that press conference, telling everybody to shut up when they were firing questions at Lane Kiffin the whole time. I mean, that was such a surreal scene when you look back on it. ESPN did that documentary, but it was, I mean, it didn't tell you anything you didn't know if you follow Lane Kiffin's career.
Right. It needs to be a drama. It needs to be a drama.
I'd like to see the in-depth, situation that's going on now with Lane Kiffin and all the stops along the way. And Al Davis, Christian Bale is playing Al Davis in the movie about John Madden, right? Nicolas Cage is playing John Madden. Christian Bale with a lot of makeup is playing Al Davis. I want to see Al Davis with the overhead projector again, calling Lane Kiffin a liar and a phony or whatever he called him.
Yes. We can see if Ryan Murphy is available to produce that Lane Kiffin series. Yes. Chad Withrow has been our guest on D. Mace, Ving, and Adonik. He joins us every Friday at 4:20. Chad, great stuff as always. We'll catch up next week.
You had American Sports Story, the Aaron Hernandez story, American Sports Story, the Lane Kiffin saga.
There you go.
I'm watching every episode of that. Thanks, guys.
615-737-1025. Speaking of that phone number, it is Halloween, so why don't we give something away? If you would like a pair of tickets to see the Nashville Predators take on the Vancouver Canucks at Bridgestone Arena on Monday, November 3rd, so this coming Monday, be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025. If you are caller number 3, you will win a pair of tickets to see the Predators host the Canucks at Bridgestone Arena on Monday, 7:30 puck drop at Bridgestone Arena. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's tell you about F&M Bank. We are 1 hour away from taking it to the bank, where I will have my next masterful weekend of picks. I've got them up my sleeve right now as we speak. But it's all brought to you by F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose, a fantastic operation because they've got their formula. They know who they are. They've got 20 locations in our listening area, and their goal is to take some of the financial burden off your plate. They want to make your life easier. They've got tools for success. So if you're in your town, let's say you live in Springfield or Mount Juliet, there's a branch of the F&M Bank right in your neighborhood, and you can build a relationship with a person or persons in there, and they're going to look at your portfolio. You're a business owner, you need a business-to-business loan, they've got you. Your business means more to them. So find the nearest location to you. They're scattered all around. myfmbank.com. That'll show you all of them. myfmbank.com. We'll take it to the bank every Friday at 5:45, so be listening a little bit later today. It's F&M Bank, member FDIC.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. We are presented by Bax Homeworks. Remodeling done right. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com. A little Ghostbusters, keeping the Halloween spirit.
D-Mace played the real Ghostbusters last week.
Yeah, man. Ray Parker Jr.
There's only one Ghostbuster. Even though he did steal the riff from the Huey Lewis and the News. He did get busted for that. Still a great song, though.
Loved it.
He got sued, right?
Ghostbusters.
I think he lost.
Something.
That's not
I
bad.
think Huey won.
In the neighborhood.
I want a new drug.
Who you
The
wanna
bass line?
call?
That's news to me.
You didn't know that?
Did you see what I did there?
That was very nice. Good job.
There.
That was news to you, huh?
That was news to me. Huey Lewis and the news
But
to
you
me.
knew about Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes.
But you didn't know about Huey Lewis versus Ray Parker Jr.
I'm still tripping. You know about the nerds, man.
You knew about the
knew.
Tri-Lamps.
Exactly. Everybody forgets about that one guy, but not you, Adam.
If you missed it, Adam equated not Eli Manning, but Arch Manning to Stan Gable, the quarterback of the non-nerds.
Stan Gable name never gets mentioned. It's everybody else's, but I'm glad you mentioned Stan Gable.
But I was trying
He was
to
coached
think,
by John Goodman in the movie.
I was trying to think about what I was saying earlier was I love the quarterback matchup because Arch Manning and Diego Pavia come from completely different backgrounds. And I equated Arch Manning to Stan Gable, the sweater tied around his neck, 80s preppy villain / quarterback, because he's a Manning. He's a Manning. He comes from a legacy of great quarterbacks. And then there's Diego Pavia, who is not a nerd. He's not a nerd, but he is the leader of the outcasts. Diego Pavia.
The misfits is like to call them themselves.
Misfits.
Right?
That is
what the
absolutely
t-shirt
true.
says.
That is true. They should sell those t-shirts if they haven't already. But quickly, let's talk about the other matchup happening in our state. Another huge matchup. I like to call these college football playoff eliminators. Oklahoma at Tennessee absolutely is a college football playoff eliminator. Both teams have 2 losses overall and in the SEC. And it seems that neither of these teams have any margin for error. I think Mitch Light said this yesterday. The loser of this game is out, right? The loser of this game is out of the college football playoff field. It really does feel that way. And when it comes to Tennessee, they just gave up 34 points to Kentucky. They won 56-34, but they still gave up 34 points to Kentucky, as Chad just said. Defense isn't good, but can John Mateer and the Sooners take advantage of that on the road? That's the question that I'm wondering.
I think Mateer is the key. The question is he now close to being back, comfortable throwing, not worried about the injury that he's tried to play through?
He hasn't played well since he's come back.
No, he hasn't looked the same. And they're really getting more by with defense. Now, ESPN has this thing called Matchup Predictor, which is not the line, right? We're always conditioned to look at this point spread to say, who's going to win,
which is Tennessee by 2.5 at the moment.
But the Matchup Predictor has Tennessee at 63% to OU 37%. And to compare, I find this interesting. What do you think as they divide up the pie in the ESPN analytic predictor has for Texas Vanderbilt?
I would say they have Texas at 75%.
It's close. It's 70-30, which might surprise some people because there's still this thing of, Vanderbilt's higher ranked. Why isn't Vanderbilt? We had a texter earlier. Why isn't Vanderbilt favored in the game? I think you do have to remember that despite rankings and point spreads, the analytic people have, I think, a more accurate view of the when you lay out the talent and you put it in the environment here. Certainly at Neyland Stadium, you think that Tennessee has a really good chance here to get a quality win. But Mateer to me is the key.
And the other thing too, Derek, is when you look at some of these teams in the SEC, Tennessee may have the most realistic chance to win out if they get past Oklahoma. After Oklahoma on Tennessee's schedule is a home game against Diego Pavia's former team, New Mexico State, followed by a trip to Florida, and then hosting Vanderbilt. Texas, meanwhile, Oklahoma, after visiting Tennessee, goes to Alabama, then hosts Missouri, and hosts LSU.
Wow.
Texas,
I did not realize that.
after playing Vanderbilt, goes to Georgia, hosts Arkansas, and hosts Texas A&M. So
very difficult.
So Tennessee, if the Vols can get past the Sooners, their path to a college football playoff spot may be the quote unquote easiest of the 4 teams we've been talking about: Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas, and Vanderbilt.
But are we assuming too much that it's still going to be so much about how many losses you have and not, because we're waiting to see if it ever changes?
By the way, the first college football playoff ranking is Tuesday.
And so I wonder, I'm sure that'll be discussed, but will they be able to put all of the history aside of decades and decades of, well, if you have 1 loss and I have 0 losses, it's going to be me unless you prove that I have the worst schedule of all time and you have the toughest schedule. Like it's, don't we agree?
Which takes us back to the Indiana conversation we had earlier this week.
I think that's a good example. I think that's a good example. So I think it'll be put to the test. Like Ole Miss, look at who they've got down the stretch. Like Ole Miss has already played their toughest games. Ole Miss should be able to get to the finish line with 1 loss.
A lot of it depends on, how these schools do outside of the conference. In other conferences, you look at the ACC, you got Louisville and Georgia Tech and the Hurricanes. Combined, all 3 of them got 2 losses. Yellow Jackets sitting at 8-0. So can the ACC get 2 teams out of their conference? I don't think anybody saw the ACC getting a lot of teams out of this conference. And they essentially can get 2-3 teams. They would have an argument if it sort of lays out in a certain way. They would have an argument to 3 teams in at least in the playoffs.
By the way, Ole Miss's remaining schedule. Check this out: home to South Carolina, home to the Citadel, home to Florida, at Mississippi State.
Oh, they have the easiest schedule by far.
That looks like 4-0 to me.
But a lot of it does.
Right.
A lot of it depends on what these teams are doing outside. Notre Dame, they're 5-2 or 6-2, 5-2 or 6-2. If they win out, so you are talking about a 2-loss team in an independent conference that they're gonna put Notre Dame in. So what if Notre Dame has another loss? Then what happens? Does another
Notre Dame is a really fascinating one.
Does the SEC
when they start
kick him in?
comparing
Exactly.
the schedules? Because remember the article came out and said, is Vanderbilt last year's Indiana?
Right. We talked about that on Monday.
Well,
or
Ole
Tuesday.
Miss, in theory, could be sitting there. And right now, because of where they're ranked, I don't think they'd even pop into somebody's mind. But Ole Miss has had a little bit happen to them. What Vanderbilt has happened. They beat LSU when LSU was ranked 4th. That's a big signature win that vaulted Ole Miss up into the rankings, right? But that win has lost a little bit of luster, just like Vanderbilt beating LSU has lost a little bit of luster, even though LSU was still ranked 10th when Vanderbilt beat them, and that was just 2 weeks ago. Oklahoma was a really good win for Ole Miss at Oklahoma, a huge win. But you could see Oklahoma, if they lost tomorrow against Tennessee, which they might, and then lost, who did you say was still on Oklahoma's schedule? They've got some tough games. They could be 7-5. And then at the end of the year, you're going, they go, who did Ole Miss beat? Who did Ole Miss, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of good teams in the SEC, and some of them are going to end up at like 7-5.
Oklahoma, at Tennessee, at Alabama, home to Missouri, home to LSU.
Right. So they would do well to finish 8-4, Oklahoma. So that win may not look as exciting for LSU. So LSU doesn't play Alabama. I'm sorry, Ole Miss doesn't play Alabama. They lost to Georgia. They don't play Texas A&M. Obviously, they don't play Vanderbilt, and they don't play Texas. So there's still a lot of games to play just in the SEC that I think we are going to look back 3 weeks from now and say, wow, we had it wrong. Or, like, I think the picture could completely change with a lot of these teams.
Here's what's funny. And I know this just for snits and giggles. If the season was to end today, the SEC could argue we should have 6 to 8 teams in the playoffs. If it ended today.
Right. But a lot of those teams play each other.
They play each other.
Right?
I know
play
some
other
have
really good
played
teams.
each other, but they would have an argument. And I know the season doesn't end now, but I'm just saying, as tough as this conference has been, they would have a legitimate, like, hey, listen, we should have at least, let's just say 6 teams in the college football playoffs.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Tennessee's matchup against Oklahoma tomorrow. We will continue to discuss Vanderbilt at Texas. We'll talk some Titans. All coming up next, 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful Friday. It's Halloween. The sun's almost setting. It's almost time for trick-or-treating. Can't wait to go home and eat my son's candy. That's the best part, right? When you can't trick-or-treat anymore, you just eat your kid's candy instead.
Now, does he know that you're doing it? Or are you subtle, like just siphoning off like one at a time? Like you don't take his bucket and like pour it in. Like
No.
you got to be subtle how you do it, right?
No. If I attempted to take a piece of candy in front of him, he would scream.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you would be
So-
outed.
Right.
You would
So
be busted.
I am discreet about taking the candy.
So what's your style? Like what's your method? How do you do it?
Hey, Arlo, what's over there?
What's his favorite TV show? Hey, here's the iPad. Hey, couple episodes.
Last night, so he went to a trick-or-treating event yesterday. So he's double dipping. He's going yesterday and today. When I got home from doing Predators pre and post game, he was asleep, but the candy was out. So I got home and I said, I'll help myself to
unguarded.
a few pieces.
It's unguarded.
Yes, nobody was around. Nobody was the wiser. So we hope you are having a wonderful Friday as you prepare to potentially trick or treat with your little ones. Vanderbilt at Texas tomorrow, 11 a.m. kickoff. Reports are that Arch Manning is progressing in his concussion protocol and that the Longhorns are hopeful that he will play. I can't imagine a world where Arch Manning doesn't play tomorrow. And as I said, I want him to play tomorrow because if Vanderbilt wins, and it would technically be an upset since Texas is favored by 3.5. If Vanderbilt wins at Texas and Arch Manning doesn't play, you're going to hear, well, Vandy went on the road, but they didn't beat Arch Manning. And the week before against Missouri, the Tigers were down to their third string quarterback and Vanderbilt barely won. And earlier in the season, the Commodores went to South Carolina and Lenora Sellers got hurt. So I want Arch Manning to play. So if Vanderbilt wins, that narrative will not take over.
I think if Vanderbilt wins this game, and I'd be curious if you guys think I'm crazy, I think it automatically becomes, despite how Texas has struggled at times, I still think it would be Vanderbilt's most impressive win of the season. Would I be wrong in saying that? On the road
at Texas
with Manning playing.
Yes.
Mhm.
With all of what's at stake. And it's not an elimination game for Vanderbilt. They only have one loss.
For Texas, I think.
I think it is for Texas, especially knowing who Texas still has. They still have to play Texas A&M
and Alabama.
I mean, that's a gauntlet that they have to run to remain with 2 losses. Now, I think Texas could be an interesting 3-loss team. But this is where the committee is going to have to sift through it. Texas had the guts to play at Ohio State. So that's not an ordinary 3-loss team. Plus, Texas A&M and Alabama right now are the 2 best teams in the SEC. So Texas will finish the year with 12 games, 3 of which are possibly
against top 5 teams.
Yes. And I think they're at Texas A&M.
Let me double check.
Either way, that's a brutal schedule. So 9-3 with that schedule.
I mean, they would in a sense have an argument because they had a tough schedule or one of the toughest schedule, especially as you start to wind this thing down.
Correction. They do not play Alabama. They are at Georgia.
Okay.
At Georgia.
Oh, only have to go to Georgia.
Yes.
Georgia instead of Alabama.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
At Georgia.
Coin flip.
At Georgia.
At Georgia. Home against Arkansas. Home against Texas A&M.
Okay. So
Well, it's gonna be
that's a
tough.
tough schedule.
It's going to be tough for Texas. And again, that's why they would have an argument if indeed they do lose to one of these teams, whether it's Vanderbilt or any one of these teams moving forward. If they have one more loss, I think they would have a argument on them having a tougher schedule throughout the whole season, not just toward the end, but throughout the whole season. Texas would. But I think Vandy. I think this is for Vandy, even though they would have 2 losses. I still think that this is, I don't want to say a must win, but it takes a little bit of the pressure off, because the pressure is going to come that last game of the season. That's where I think it's going to be worth it all. Like, either you make it to the playoffs or you don't, that last season.
You're talking about the last game at Tennessee?
Yeah, last game at Tennessee. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So if you get this one, not to say you wouldn't have to win that Tennessee game and any other game after the Texas game, but it takes a little bit of that pressure off of like, it's no doubt we got to win this game to have an opportunity, because a 3-loss Vandy, as good as they've been, regardless of how close they lose, they're not going to let them in.
I don't think 3 losses.
Now, Texas with a 3-loss.
Texas with that game at Ohio State, I think their strength of schedule, I think overall would be the team with 3 losses that would bring it enough to the table. Vanderbilt with 3 losses, I think they would be on the outside looking in. Because some of the games definitely have it. South Carolina's disappointment, Virginia Tech's disappointment. We'll see how Missouri plays between now and the end of the year without Preble in there. Although I do think the guy, even though the label is third string, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah,
he's a freshman, but we'll see, because the wins that you have a few weeks ago that at the time looked like amazing wins, at the end of the year they can look different. That's the case in basketball as well.
One texter says, what do you think the cost difference is between what Texas has paid its players versus Vanderbilt and what it's paid its players?
It's night and day.
There was
night and day.
There was a report from the Houston Chronicle earlier this year that the team's roster budget, meaning the Longhorns roster budget, currently sits somewhere, quote, between 35 million and 40 million. I don't know if that's been disproven.
It's the Dodgers against
the Rays.
I don't know if Vanderbilt's the Rays. They've moved up from that. They're not. I think a couple years ago they were the Rays, maybe worse. But I think they're more of the Reds, something like that. Right? A team that spends a little bit more. They're lower middle class, I think, compared to others, and they're still working on it. They're smart with their money, like the Rays, like the Brewers. So the Brewers would be a good parallel, I think, for Vanderbilt, the way they're playing. I think it's the Dodgers and the Brewers.
As I've said a couple of times, I still just look, we are all swept up in what the Commodores have accomplished this season. I said last Friday before the game against Missouri that if the Commodores could win after hosting College Game Day, winning a big game at home, that they could become the darlings of Nashville, right? And speaking of the performances of the major local professional sports teams, there is an opening for Vanderbilt to be that darling. There is still a lot of skepticism about the Commodores around the country. There have been plenty of great stories written about the Commodores and what they've been able to do and how Clark Lee helped build up this program to where it is right now, and the influence of Diego Pavia and all of those things. But there's still a lot of skepticism. I've talked about why I want Arch Manning to play tomorrow, because I think that would eliminate some of the skepticism. So for as much as Vanderbilt has proven, it still feels like they have a lot to prove, which I find to be interesting.
I think it's a Cinderella story still, just because if they were to go 9-3, it's still the greatest season that they've ever had. I think. I think I would not be out of line in saying that, even though there would be some disappointment that they're not able to quite get into the bracket. But 9-3, if you'd have told me before the season they're going to go 9-3, I would say that's an incredible season, maybe the best ever that they've had.
I will say this about, because again, we talked about this earlier in the week, the parallels between Indiana and Vandy. To me, I think the only thing that sort of ties the two is, even we are 3 games away, I think, from the season ending, 4 games. The country still don't believe in Vandy, just like they didn't believe in Indiana. Just don't. And what it's going to take, it's going to take for them to beat Texas, no matter what. I think no matter whether Arch Manning is playing or not, if he's 100% or not, they got to win this game, period.
But the difference between 2025 Vanderbilt
Mhm.
and 2024 Indiana, as
It's the
we
schedules,
discussed,
yes.
is the schedule.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt is what, 3-1 against ranked teams. I know it's at the time of the matchup. LSU and South Carolina are no longer ranked. Indiana played one ranked team all season last season.
But that one ranked team,
It was Ohio State.
and it wasn't until later in the year.
It was near the end of the season.
Exactly.
And they lost by 3 touchdowns.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Even with them losing Ohio State, all we can do is talk about Indiana until we played Ohio State, until they played Ohio State.
Right.
Well, they're talking about Vandy in a way of, well, Lenore Sellers didn't finish the game. This guy didn't play.
The Missouri quarterback
quarterback got hurt. So even there, it's happening in real time for Vanderbilt. Even though people didn't believe, there still was some skepticism with Indiana. You had to wait until the Ohio State game.
Right.
Well, Vandy, they've played, and even though they've only lost one game, and that was to Alabama, they're still but.
It'll be, I anticipate, Willie, you tell me if you agree with this. I anticipate a game similar to the one that we watched last week. Texas's run defense is one of the best units in the country. We know that Vanderbilt is one of the most efficient rushing offenses in the country. So it's a strength on strength matchup. I think this is the best defense overall that the Commodores have faced so far this season. So it would not shock me if the score and the way the game plays out is similar to what we saw last week against Missouri.
I think Vanderbilt, this is one of the best things that I think Clark Lee and definitely Diego Pavia have done. They, regardless of the skepticism that you would have or people starting to push, internally or here in Nashville, patting you on the back, right? So you have two dangers or two things going on. You have skepticism nationally. Hey, they're really not that good. Come on, this is still Vanderbilt's not that good.
If you look under the hood, though,
nice story.
If you look under the hood, though, they are quite good.
Oh yeah.
If you look at the process is quite good. But most people don't look at the process; they just look at the schedule.
It's so there's two perceptions. There's the perception of, hey, nice story and everything, but they're not really the ninth best team. They're not a playoff team. You have that group. Then you have the excited group here in town telling them, oh my gosh, look how awesome. Vanderbilt's gonna make the playoffs, or they might make the playoffs. You guys are doing so great. And you get the big head, the rat poison, you like to say, right? The Nick Saban rat poison. Mm-hmm. So you have those two dynamics. But what I think Pavia and Clark Lee do very well together is in their little bubble, in their little vacuum, they just, to this point, have played each game and kept a pretty good level head. And they have a belief that no matter who they're playing, if they play their game, they'll have a chance to win. Which brings you to that matchup. For the first time, I thought last week, Vanderbilt kind of struggled offensively to run consistently. They got the big 80-yard run, which saved the day. They busted the big one. But consistently, it was not easy for them and it was not easy for them to get much throwing the ball outside the numbers. They need to be better in both of those areas tomorrow. Because I don't think you can hold Texas to 10 down there. I don't think so. You're going to have to score some more points. And so you're going to need a few more drives where you're sharper. But I think Vanderbilt's perception was, hey, Missouri's good. But I think Vanderbilt looks at Vanderbilt and says, we didn't play very well. I don't think they thought they played very well in that game, even though they got an enormous win against Missouri.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com. Also, I know we are focusing so much on Arch Manning. There was another player on the Longhorns who is questionable, senior defensive back Michael Taff. I believe he had thumb surgery a couple of weeks ago. He's the leader of the Longhorns defense. So that, if he can't play, that's a big loss for the Longhorns defense. Also, the Longhorns have never won a home game against a top 10 AP team under Steve Sarkisian. They're 0-3. So Vanderbilt will look to make that 0-4 tomorrow. We'll take your thoughts on that matchup. 615-737-1025. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick is presented to you by Bax Homeworks. Financing options are available to make your remodel easier than you think with Bax Homeworks. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com.
See, the quarterback is the tip of the spear. He's one of the more competitive, players that I've competed against. He's their leading rusher. He obviously passes the ball. He makes plays at critical moments when they need to have it. And so he's a guy that he's getting all the praise that he's getting is well deserved. He's a very good football player, and I think one thing about playing quarterback, it's not always about the passes you throw. It's not always about the runs you make. It's about instilling belief in your teammates and instilling belief in your organization, instilling belief in your fan base. And I think Diego Pavia has done that for that program. And so all the credit in the world to him, all the credit in the world to Clark and the start that they've had to the season. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge for us. Looking forward to it. Like I said, I think we've got a re-energized team. Looking forward to getting back home at DKR.
That was Texas coach Steve Sarkisian, the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans, ? Just kidding. But there was that report last weekend.
Yeah.
Of course, he was talking about Diego Pavia as Vanderbilt prepares to take on Texas tomorrow.
You notice how much he is selling we're revitalized. He said right after they came from behind to beat Mississippi State, which from a distance was like, "Ooh, man, they escaped." What? Like they were dead, and it's a season over kind of thing. But he said, "I've never been so proud. I've never been as proud as my guys as I am right now." He's selling this revitalization that they still can make it if they play their best. I'll be interested to see if that's working or if that's just hopeful talk. Right? There are times where a coach is trying to sell something so hard, he's going to say it everywhere he goes, but the team doesn't play like that. And there are times where that becomes a very real thing. And they've struggled all year long to look like the team that was supposed to be the best team in the country before the season started, that he's trying to sell it right now. If they can hit it, that could be a pretty special story.
If you're looking at the matchup, ignore offense versus defense, quarterback versus quarterback. If you're just looking at the vibes, Vanderbilt clearly ahead in the vibes category, as we've been discussing. Texas, the vibes aren't great. I know that the Longhorns are 6-2, but they escaped last week at Mississippi State. They needed overtime to beat Kentucky the week before. Neither of those teams have won a game in the SEC. Arch Manning has underwhelmed. So it's their first home game in more than a month. They've played their past 4 games away from Austin. So I can understand why Sarkisian is trying to sell we're revitalized. We can't wait to get back home and play in front of our fans. So it will be interesting to see how they respond. Matthew in Nashville says, unless Texas decides to have that game where the national media proclaims Texas is back, Vanderbilt should win.
I think not only Texas, but I think there are a lot of people still are hoping that this could be a game that they can say, and I'm not just talking, Texas fans, obviously they think that way, but I think there are some out there because it's like, well, Vandy's a good story, but the better story all this season would have been Texas and Arch Manning. So if they win this, we can say they're back. Like they are still in it to be in the college football playoffs. And all they want is a Manning in the playoffs. That is it. If they can find a way, if they don't lose another game, a Manning will be in the playoffs.
Manning sell. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that.
So does Vandy roster, is their roster better than Texas roster? Probably not. Do they have the most marquee player, one of the most marquee players in the country? If not no, because Arch Manning is, you take him anywhere, they know who he is. But they may not have all of those things, but if you watch them and you've watched Texas, regardless of you thinking Manning has disappointed because he's played good in some games and he has not in others, Vandy consistently the whole season has been the better team.
when you look at the numbers, as I said earlier, when you look at the process, what the Commodores have been doing is not a fluke. They are playing incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
As I said before, it's just about convincing everybody who's not paying as close attention to it as we are that it's not just the result of an easier than anticipated schedule.
Oh, I think they're past that. You kind of, here's what I think I would privately hope is that Texas thinks that Vanderbilt's overrated.
Yeah.
You know, like that they underestimate them a little bit, because that could work both ways. Like sometimes there's, the crowd will chant overrated, and that's like the team's like, yeah, we're going to show Vanderbilt that they're overrated. But there's also, yeah, they're number 9, but we're Texas. We should beat them. We should beat them. I mean, all you got to look, it's a 70% probability that Texas wins the game, according to the ESPN analytics, for what that's worth.
Again, it goes back to they see what Vandy has done in real time, and they say, but each and every time they win. But, and even in the losses, it's like, see? But if you watch the game, they didn't lose because Alabama was just a much better team. They lost because of the key mistakes in the game. And that doesn't determine whether you are better than the team or not. It's just you made Diego Pavia got loose with the ball 2 times in critical situations.
Right. You don't want Diego Pavia to try to play hero ball tomorrow, because I think that's what happened against Alabama. And it led to 2 red zone turnovers that cost the Commodores the game.
I think you don't want your quarterback to have to play, especially not in this situation. But he has shown up after the Alabama game, where he still had to make plays.
He has.
And he has made those plays. You just don't want him to each and every week have to do that.
Right.
So
the Commodores will take on Texas tomorrow. Pregame at 9:30, kickoff at 11 on 94.9 The Fan. The Tennessee Titans are back in action on Sunday against the LA Chargers. Chargers favored by 9.5. It's old home week for several members of the LA Chargers. T.R. Tart is there. Elijah Molden is there. Bud Dupree is there.
Man.
Bud Dupree.
Haskins
is out, if I am not mistaken.
Yes.
He is part of the former Titans contingent on the Chargers, but he is not going to play in the game. So it's old home week for the LA Chargers. No Jeffrey Simmons, no Calvin Ridley, no Arden Key, no Xavier Woods for the Titans.
Man, I wonder.
Is Chigakonkwo going to play?
He was not listed. I don't think he had any injury designation, so I think he's okay.
Well, but he wasn't spotted at practice. I do wonder.
I will double check.
Because, Adam, in hockey, it's very normal that you would hold out a player that you think you're going to trade, and you don't want to risk him getting hurt in the last game.
He was a full participant in practice today. He has no designation for tomorrow.
Well, I knew he wasn't injured, but I'm asking, would you consider?
Yeah,
if you're going to trade
asset management. That's what it's called in the NHL.
No,
Hopkins
asset management.
I think in the NHL if it's close enough to the trade deadline,
trade related reasons is the new way of saying it.
The whole DeAndre
trade
Hopkins.
related reasons.
Trade related reasons.
It's DeAndre Hopkins. Why didn't he play the last half of the game?
So maybe we don't see Chigakonkwo take as many snaps on Sunday, is what you're saying.
I'm curious. I don't know.
But if he's active and he doesn't play as much, maybe that's a hint of what's to come.
It could be.
Arden Key as well.
He's hurt too, I think.
Calvin Ridley's hurt. So
he's hurt either way.
Yeah.
Let me double check the Titans injury report. Arden Key is out with a quad. Calvin Ridley is out with a hamstring. So is Jeffrey Simmons and Xavier Woods. Lots of hamstrings.
Hammies.
Ridley, Simmons, and Woods out with hamstrings. Bryce Oliver is questionable with a knee injury. Arden Key is also out, but with a quad injury.
Remember all of that talk about the soft tissue injuries and how they've got to get better? Part of the reason where they fired Mike Vrabel was we've led the league in injuries for 3 straight years. Are they any healthier now than they were?
No.
At this point,
and I don't know that there's anything they're doing wrong. Injuries happen.
But Derek and I talked about this yesterday. Maybe not for all of these players, but for some of them, if they end up traded to another team, those injuries will miraculously recover overnight.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Calvin Ridley.
Listen, when you, and I'm not saying that these guys are culprits of it. But I have seen that if the season's going great and you're injured, oh, you get back on that field. You try, oh boy, you want to be a part of it. When the season ain't going so well, it's like, man, there's no need to rush back. Let me really until I'm 100%. So I'm not saying that that is happening, but I'm not saying that I haven't seen it either. So there you go.
The Titans are seeking to avoid losing 4 consecutive games by double digits for the first time since the franchise relocated to Tennessee ahead of the 1997 season, according to ESPN.
Damn.
And we'll go over this in just a few moments. But y'all laughed at me when I said, will the Titans lose by 20 to the Colts? Could we see another blowout on Sunday?
Yeah. I mean, I'm being honest.
asking
Yeah.
the questions, right?
Yes.
I've got the questions.
You've got the
How do you know
questions.
I'm not going to ask that question?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you've seen the light. You guys were like, they're not going to lose by 20. That was generous.
Okay.
That was generous.
Let's say 15.
Well, the line is 9.5. Do you want to bump
15,
it up?
15.
We'll let Willie. We've got.
Oh, I'm
taken to the
open.
bank,
I'm just throwing some numbers
tweak it.
out. I'm
I'll
just
tweak
throwing
it.
some numbers out there.
but
15.
don't reveal the question yet. You
Well,
think about
okay.
it. It's up to you. We have a few moments.
14 and a half.
We have a few moments, but I have no faith in the Tennessee Titans. I mean, at this point, just find anybody to play corner. Anybody. Can anybody play corner?
Oh, didn't they say they had people waiting behind just ready to go? Didn't they say that?
Allegedly, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That was Jalen Armour Davis.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying these kids, young men, are not going to be good, but when you say we got guys ready, that means as soon as they step in, they're ready to go. There's not going to be any step backs. These guys aren't ready. And not to say they're not going to be good players. They're just not ready. So again, you told a fib, as my mother would say back in the day.
Ooh, a fib.
Yeah, fib. Or I would tell my kids.
You don't
"You're
hear
telling a
much about
fib."
fibs anymore.
Yeah, people, we need to start using that more. Telling a fib.
A white lie.
Because we couldn't say LIE in the house. We couldn't
Oh.
say, yeah.
That was a banned phrase.
Yes, banned phrase. Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't say that in the house.
Interesting.
Nope.
Interesting. Another news story in the NFL. I know the two of you, especially Derek, has been skeptical of Travis Hunter. He's on IR now. Non-contact right knee injury. Suffered during practice on Thursday. Initial testing revealed that Hunter's ACL is intact. But so far this season, he's played 67% of the team's offensive snaps and 36% of the team's defensive snaps.
I'm not saying that in
And the
in no
injury
way,
occurred while
yeah.
Hunter was on defense during practice.
Yes. I'm not saying that, him playing both ways has, contribute to the injury. But what I am saying is this, is that you can't continue to expect him to play both sides of the ball. He's already dealing with a knee injury now. If I'm the owner, I'm saying decide which side of the ball you want him on and play him on that side of the ball.
Well, it's like what we were talking about earlier with Cam Ward about the expectation of being the number 1 overall pick. Keep in mind what the Jags traded to move up to take Travis Hunter.
Yep.
And if you're going to do that, Jags fans are expecting the G word when it comes
And they
to Travis
promoted
Hunter.
it.
Yes.
They promoted
Yes.
it. They said, yeah, we're giving up our first round pick next year. And yeah, he's going to play on offense and defense. And yeah, he's going to do something that's never been done in 60 years. They committed to it before they ever knew he could do it.
There's a reason why
It's a
hasn't been
trap.
done.
It's a trap.
And don't listen, there's a reason why it hasn't been done. And to think that there are guys that have been through this wonderful league, it's been in existence forever, damn near. And you tell me that there hasn't been more than just 2 or 3 guys that can play both sides of the ball. And I'm not saying that, they would be elite on both sides of the ball, but guys that could play, offense, play it well, and be elite on defense. I played with a guy, Ed Reed. He could play offense, but he was elite on defense. So guys like this come through the NFL all the time, but they know, owners, GMs, they know the wear and tear. It's not it's not sustainable. So if I'm drafting you that high, it's for one position. It's not for two. Jacksonville made the mistake, and I said this then. If you're drafting him as a corner or a receiver, singular, he's not a top 5 pick, and he's not the best at that position. You're drafting him because you want him to play both positions. It's going to happen, but you're going to ruin that kid's career from injury. That's what's going to happen.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans. Vanderbilt, go nuts. 615-737-1025. Although there are no nuts in Milky Ways, which are delicious. Derek, but we will take it to the bank. Coming up next to wrap up the week, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here, and if you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is a resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you in an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson. You can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. A full weekend of football for you. Vanderbilt at Texas tomorrow at 11. Chargers at Titans on Sunday at noon. The World Series tonight, a potential World Series clinching win for the Toronto Blue Jays, perhaps in Toronto. I can only imagine.
Unless you got YouTube TV.
I wonder if our friend Elliot Freeman did take out another mortgage to attend Game 6.
But it's so interesting because the Dodgers were such a heavy favorite before the series started. They're down 3-2. They're on the road, but they've got the pitcher. They've got the guy. Yamamoto has been lights out. So they have to beat a great pitcher to win tonight. And then, of course, anything can happen in Game 7. But
George Springer back in the lineup for the Blue Jays as well.
He is. And I'm curious because of his, it's a rib cage. It's an oblique kind of thing, side muscle, like swinging the bat. If you're not 100% right, I don't know how that's going to go. But it's the World Series. Like in the regular season, he'd be on the IL. He would not be playing. So I'm curious because he's a guy you want in there. He's one of the greatest postseason hitters ever, George Springer, all those years with the Astros. A lot of great subplots here.
First pitch not at 7. The coverage starts at 7 on Fox. But let's take it to the bank with our friends at F&M Bank, customer community. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. You can visit one of their locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. David James, let's recap last week.
All right, boys. So first off, let's go to the general questions. The general questions were, I can't even. Will someone from the Vanderbilt team or for the Vanderbilt fans on College Game Day win or kick the field goal or win the field goal challenge by Pat McAfee in the first try? So me, Willie, and D-Mace all said yes. Adam was the only one who doubted the fans.
Well, it's not so much that I doubted the fans as I needed to get some points. So if you all said yes, I had to say no.
Yeah.
So
how'd that go for you?
It did not go well. It did not go well.
But believe in the Commodore.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. But we'll see how it went for you on the next common question from last week, David.
Oh, yes. Good segue, Adam. So will the Titans lose by at least 20 points? I wonder who said yes. David James and Adam Vingan both said yes.
You guys were like, it's not going to happen.
And Willie
and I were like, no.
believes way too much in the Tennessee Titans.
They're not going to lose by 20.
They'll be all right.
Adam had no belief in the Vanderbilt fans, and Adam and D-Mace, Willie and D-Mace believe too much into the Titans.
That's correct.
That's
how
how
I'm
it went
looking at
down. That's how it went down.
All right, so Adam, your two picks were Eli Stowers anytime touchdown. That did not happen,
unfortunately,
and Jonathan Taylor at least 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns.
Sure did.
Bing, 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 bong right there.
Bing, bing, bong. That's right.
You got 5 points in
Hot
total
diggity.
for a total of 38 points.
Okay, I'll take it.
Now, Willie, you said Mookie Betts, that is, would get on base at least twice. He did. And you said Ole Miss would cover 5.5, and they did. You got both of those for a total of 7 for 57 total points.
Willie's rolling,
solid,
running
solid
away with this
choices.
thing.
Solid.
Very, very solid. You're killing on these your actual picks.
Yes.
Now, D-Mace.
My man is Chambliss. Chambliss for Ole Miss he's a lesser known, like it'll be a big thing if they continue on the track and make the playoffs. That Chambliss kid is a good player.
He's really
Division
good.
2. I'm not sure how old he is. He might be older than Diego Pavia.
I think he's 22, 23. Last time I checked.
Is he that young?
Yeah. He's that young. Yes. So D-Mace.
He's 23. Yep.
D-Mace,
only
you
23.
You didn't have the best week.
As long as I got the kicker.
You said yeah. That's the only one that matters
because you love kickers.
You believe in
matters.
Vandy. You believe in the Vandy kickers.
Yes.
But you said Diego Pavia would have 3 touchdowns. That did not happen. And you said that Bama would cover 11.5. They did not. They only scored, I think, 7 points. So you only got 1 point for 29 total points.
Okay.
Okay.
How'd you do, David?
I did pretty well. I said, what did I say? This is not a good pick. I said LSU over Texas A&M. Woof, that was a bad one. That was a
Nope.
bad call.
They
But
led it to half.
that is true.
Then what happened?
This guy named Marcel Reed.
He
Uh,
decided to show up.
he decided to be one
Then
of
the
the best
coach got
Heisman.
fired. Then the AD got fired.
It set up a whole chain of events.
Yes.
It's not good out there in Baton Rouge, you
Nope.
know. But the University of Memphis got me a dub as they beat South Florida. So I have a total of 7 points for a total of 50.
On a walk-off missed field goal, correct?
Yes.
Some drama
Shout out
there.
the Tigers, baby.
All right.
7-1.
So, Willie, you have our common questions this week.
I do.
Go right ahead.
All right. I'm going to set the line because I think we've had some fun with this, with how much are the Titans going to get smoked. And D. Mace and I have tried to show faith in the Titans the last 2 weeks. Too much faith. And they've been blasted both times. So the line is 9.5. But I don't know if you have time or have it in front of you to list the players that are out again for the Titans. It's a long list.
Arden Key, Jeffrey Simmons, Xavier Woods, Calvin Ridley.
Oh, okay. So they're 9.5 point underdogs. I'm going to put it at 12.5. Can the Titans stay within 12.5? Do
No.
you take the Titans
No.
plus 12.5?
No. Nope.
You still take the Chargers.
Yep.
Okay. D-Mace, are you going to show faith again? I'm giving you
12
3
and a
more
half?
points at home.
No,
at home.
And the Chargers going to beat it by more than 3. More than that.
I'm doing
I'm
the
going
same
over.
thing.
I'm
I'm
going
going to
over.
say they're going to get beat by 12.
I'm going over.
BTA
If I'm going to lose, I ain't. No, I'm going over.
It's about to be BTA at Nissan Stadium.
So you're going to say no as well, David.
Yes.
So we're all saying
We're
no.
unanimous on that. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All
So
right.
here's the one where these are the things that I think are most important for the Titans, whether they win or lose. Over or under 12.5 receptions for the 3 rookie receivers, Helm, DK, and Io Manning.
Okay.
Now, last week,
under.
those guys racked up a bunch of catches. They were well over that last week.
12 and a half?
You said
12.5
12 and a half
for the
combined
3.
receptions.
So, yeah. So that's basically 4 each, and somebody has a 5th.
But all 4 of them are not averaging.
They had to
They're not
combine
averaging.
they had to combine 15 receptions. I'm sorry, that's a mistake. They had a combined 7 plus they had combined 13 receptions last week.
Okay.
And you're saying 15.
And you're saying
No,
12
no,
and a half.
12
and a half.
Oh, man.
A
Can they do
combined
it again?
13.
Now, again, keep in mind, if this goes the way we think it's going to go, they're going to be throwing a lot of passes because they're going to be behind.
I'm going the over.
I'm going to take the over as
I'm
well.
taking over.
I'm going the over.
I will take the under.
Okay.
Are you doing that because you really don't believe or you just need the point?
He's elite. He's in the head.
I
He
picked.
just wants some more points.
Willie's got some cushion.
I focus on myself, not
All
the
right.
opponent. If
That's
we take
Coach
care of
Willie
Coach
for you.
Willie,
That's because
if
you're
we
in first
do
place.
if we play our game, the results will take care of themselves.
That's because you're in
Coach
first
Willie.
place. That's why.
That's
Yes.
Coach Willie. All right.
If he wasn't in first place, he'd be
Yeah,
yelling
exactly.
at me the entire time. It's like, well, what, David? What's your system?
To our individual selections, I'll keep it on the Titans game. Justin Herbert will have at least 250 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. So similar to what I did last week with Jonathan Taylor. Both have to hit, and they have to be passing touchdowns. So if Herbert runs one in and throws one, doesn't count. 250 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns.
I would say that's probably an average week for him.
So we'll see.
So you're really not going out on a limb there.
Okay,
I'm
well,
just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
whatever.
That's not the same degree of difficulty as your Taylor one, which was a good hit. I mean, that was a big one.
Okay,
I give you that.
whatever. I'm still
I'm
doing
just
it.
saying for the record.
I'm still doing
We
it.
He's
putting it
got
out there
16
already.
touchdown passes in 8 games, so that's an average amount of touchdown passes. And
Okay, you know what?
Their complaints are
You know
being
what?
noted.
yeah,
Because Willie is
go
bullying
for
me,
it. Go for it.
I will up it to 3 passing
There you
touchdowns.
go. Now we're talking. Now that's the degree of difficulty.
250 passing yards.
Should I
and
double dog
3
dare you to go to 4?
No, this is not peer pressure. No peer pressure. I only succumb to a little peer
I
pressure.
double dog dare.
250 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns.
Mm.
And Willie and I are excited. Rex Rhodes excited. College basketball season starts next week. My beloved Blue Devils open the season on Tuesday in a neutral court game against the Texas Longhorns. Duke favored by 7.5. I'll take Duke in the points.
Okay.
And if
First round ball selection.
and if I'm wrong, I'll never bet on my team again. But I will take Duke in the points against Texas on Tuesday. Derek?
All right, I am going with the NBA for right now. All right. We have my beloved Lakers playing your beloved Memphis Grizzlies tonight.
Go Grizz.
Austin Reeves, AR-15, 34.2 points per game. Ja Morant, 23.4 per game. My bet is both of them will score over 22 points per game. I mean, 22 points tonight.
Okay.
Both. And a separate is the Lakers will win.
So those
That's
are your two
another.
picks.
Yeah, that's
that
another.
you know
yeah.
what? You're gonna lose
That's
points
another
if that
one, yeah.
happens.
Okay.
So Reeves and Ja got to score over 22 points, or at least,
Each.
yep.
Okay.
They both have to score 22 or more points, and then the Lakers
Have to win.
Yeah.
Okay. Willie?
I'm going to go with the Bills, who I think are out of their mini slump, to take a pound of flesh out of the Chiefs. I'll take Bills plus the 1.5. They're actually underdogs at home against the Chiefs, who after starting 0-2, I think are right back in the mix, 5-3. I think they're due to lose one. I'll take the Bills. Plus, I don't know why. Why are
Why
the
don't you
Chiefs
go
favored?
straight up? Why don't you go straight up? Just say straight up.
I'll take them straight up.
Okay, there we go.
I'll take them straight up.
Straight up.
That wasn't a double dog dare, but I'll take it. Bills
It's a
straight
dare
up at
nonetheless.
home to beat the Chiefs. And I will take Vladimir Guerrero tonight to have 3 times on base. 3 times on base. Either hit or walk.
Okay. David?
All right. So I did this a couple weeks ago with Vandy. I'm going to do it again. I think Vandy as a team will rush for 2 touchdowns.
Okay. That would be tough because Texas has a good run defense.
And also, I'm doing the same thing as D-Mace is doing, except John Morant will have 25 plus
Okay.
points. Go Grizz, baby.
Now, if the Lakers win, I still get points.
Yes.
This is
Oh,
not
oh,
this is not
so,
a.
okay,
yeah,
okay,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
They're separate.
The points and the win were 2 separate picks.
Yes, exactly.
So if
Absolutely.
you don't hit the points, but the Lakers win, it still
I
counts.
get the points. Yep.
Okay. We hope you have a wonderful Halloween. Eat as many Milky Ways as you damn well
Oh,
please.
my
And think of
Do
D-Mace
not
when you do
listen
it.
to Derek Mason
man.
and his terrible candy takes.
Oh,
Do
Terrible.
not do it. Eat Milky Ways to your heart's desire. And if you don't like them, you can bring them to Derek. We will be back on Monday at 3:00. Whatever. I'm all hopped up on candy now. We'll react to Vanderbilt's game at Texas, the Titans game against the Chargers. We'll do it all at 3:00 on Monday.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Halloween night. I love you. The team love you. You hear that music. Don't you forget about us, because we will be back on this station at 3:00. And don't eat the Milky Ways. Peace.
Eat them. Eat them.